If you've ever wondered the best way to start a business presentation, because let's be honest, the opening of a presentation is the most nerve-wracking part, especially when someone says, all right, you can go ahead, and you feel like there's nowhere to hide, it's time, you gotta roll. So how do you start a presentation well? Do you just dive in? How much background should you give? What's the right flow? Well, if that's you, then in this video, I'm gonna walk you through a simple, repeatable opening framework you can use to open just about any work presentation. And this will help you open well, settle your nerves quickly, capture the audience engagement on your topic, and make you look like the expert you want to be seen as at work. And this is true whether you're presenting to your boss, a leadership team on a project update, maybe a client, or even leading a big high-stakes meeting. This framework will help you sound like the confident, knowledgeable professional you want to be seen as at work. And the good news of all this is if you get the opening right, your nerves settle pretty quickly. In fact, I'd argue the first 30 to 60 seconds set the tone for everything that follows, both for your content and your nerves. You start well, it typically goes well. Now, in my work career, I spent 20 years in corporate America, including 12 at Coca-Cola, and I had to present to senior leaders and executives often. Everything from analytical insights to business performance updates. And I had times where I had to sell in and lead projects and initiatives, get people on board and bought into my ideas. And let me tell you, I struggled with this, both doing it and the nerves behind it. At the beginning, your heart's pounding. You know executives like to be bottom line. So how quick do you get into it? But once I developed this framework, everything around both my confidence and effectiveness changed for me. Today, my organization, Speaking Up Your Game, we've taught hundreds of professionals, business professionals, how to have more confidence and clarity when speaking and presenting at work, especially in their opening. And those professionals range everything from consultants to engineers to project managers, directors, senior executives, literally VPs and the C-suite. And one thing I've noticed is this: most people aren't sure exactly what to say in their opening. So they default to something like, well, today we're going to talk about, or so why don't we go over the agenda? And if you're watching this video, maybe you've watched a couple other YouTubes and someone said to you something like, start with a shocking statistic, tell a personal story, or open with a thought-provoking question. Well, those are going to be fine if you're giving a keynote speech, but you're not. And we can all agree, if you open a business presentation like you open a keynote, you're going to get two very different reactions. No one wants to be entertained. For you, you're walking into a conference room or presenting on a Zoom, Teams call, virtual meeting. Maybe you're leading a conversation or leading a meeting, and the last thing your audience wants is something like that. So instead of trying to be clever, your number one job, actually your only job in the first 30 to 60 seconds, is to create clarity. And that's exactly what this framework does that I'm going to teach you. So the very first thing you want to do before you begin is gather attention. Now, you may think, well, that's rhetorically obvious, Coop, but I see people skip this all the time. And if you're leading the meeting, don't just start talking while people are opening their laptops or finishing a side conversation or settling into their seats. If you want to come out sounding confident, say something simple like this. Good morning, everyone. Why don't we go ahead and get started? You're simply signaling we're starting. You're also signaling, I got this. If you listen closely to others, a lot of people start with this, so don't do that. Gather the attention with clear words. This is where the magic happens, and yet so many people miss this. I want to pause for a second. I want you to think about this. Think about when you start a meeting. What is your audience walking into the meeting with? Meaning, what did they just come from? If that's hard, think about your last meeting. When you walked into the meeting, what were you doing right before? Maybe you were processing an email or replying to something important. You were running from another virtual call into this one. Maybe you were in the middle of solving a problem, so your brain is just scattered with all that. And if you've ever walked into a meeting confused about what the meeting's about, I can promise you your audience has too. They're probably thinking about everything else but this meeting. Their brain is somewhere else. So you're sitting there trying to be impressive, but your job is to help them bring their brain into the room and the conversation and create clarity for them. And to do that, they need to quickly understand three simple things: where we are, or why am I here? What are we here to do? And why does this matter to me? When you answer those questions right away for your audience, they stop trying to figure it out on their own, and their brains relax and their bodies relax, and they start listening and engaging with you. And something else happens in you when you start focusing on helping your audience get there. Your nerves actually settle, because instead of trying to be impressive, you're serving. You're following a process, a repeatable process. You're executing a task, and that's going to help your nerves settle. And that's the framework I'm going to teach you, this repeatable process. We call it CPW, which stands for context, purpose, and win. Now let's walk through each piece. The first of the CPW is context. Context answers the question, why are we here? Why have we gathered? Why are you speaking? In other words, you simply need to orient the audience. You might give a sentence reminding people something they already know, but because they've been running around like crazy, they've kind of forgotten. So you're just helping them get there. You don't have to give a 5-minute history lesson, and you don't need to give them every detail, but they need just enough background to let their brains lock in. Think of it like walking into a movie halfway through. You're watching the screen like, where are we? What's happening? This is what giving your audience context does. It orients them. It might sound something like this. As you may recall, over the last 2 quarters, we've seen customer acquisition costs continue to increase while conversion rates have remained relatively flat. Or another example, as we discussed in the last week's meeting, we've completed phase 1 of the implementation and are now moving into phase 2. Notice what I'm not doing. I'm not telling a story. I'm simply giving enough context so everyone knows where we are before we move forward. Now, everyone can understand the situation. And the amount of context you give depends on how much context the audience already knows. But even if you're like, I think they know everything, it's really a good idea to give them the one sentence that'll help their brain re-engage with the topic. The next question your audience is naturally asking is, so what are we talking about? What are we doing? And that's where purpose comes in. And you want to keep it simple. One sentence is usually enough. Imagine it starting with something like, today I'm going to talk about, and then you finish the statement. As an example, today I'm going to walk you through our recommendation for improving customer retention. Or today we're going to review our second quarter results and discuss the opportunities we see for Q3. In each of these, you're just telling the audience what you're going to do today. And notice what that does. It gives them direction. They know exactly what to expect over the next minutes of your presentation. But there's one more question they're asking. And I think this is the question that separates a good opening from a great one. Your audience, in the back of their brain, they're wondering this question. What's in it for me? What's the win for me of this time? Or how am I helping the business? What am I doing to serve the business in this time? And is it worth it? And this is my favorite part of the framework because it's the place most people leave out. Before every presentation, you should clarify what's the win for the audience. Now, again, it comes back to how much they know. But if they're going to give you the next 5, 15, or 30 minutes of their day, what are they going to get in return? How will they be better off, or the business be better off because they listened? That's the win. The purpose combined with the win might sound something like this. Today, I'm going to walk you through the upcoming launch so that we can all align on the next steps and execute a great launch. Another example. Today, I'm going to walk you through the second quarter results so we can prepare for Q3 so that we can make some decisions to close any gaps. Now, imagine that for a second. You've just told the audience the win of listening to your presentation. What do you think that does for their engagement? Yeah, it increases it. And notice the focus. The win isn't about what I'm going to talk about. It's about what they're getting out of the presentation, what they're walking away with. And that small shift changes everything for your audience. Because now your presentation isn't just an info dump that they have to sit through. You're answering the question your audience is asking. Why is this worth my time? Why should I listen? Oh, because there's something in it for me. And when people know the value they're going to get from the outset, they lean in, they pay attention. Now let's put this all together. Imagine you're presenting a recommendation to your leadership team. It might sound something like this. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. As you know, over the past 2 months, we've been evaluating 3 different software vendors. That's the context. Today, I want to walk you through a recommendation and the evaluation process we used, purpose, so that by the end of our discussion, we can align on the vendor that will help us speed up our planning process and begin the implementation as soon as possible. That was the win. That's it. Context, purpose, and a win. Now, let me teach you a small hack that can help you do this quickly, even on the fly if you're not as prepared as you like. And if you've been listening, notice how I started each sentence of the CPW opening. As you know, today we'll talk about, and so that. Those three statements. It doesn't have to match completely. And not every time will it be, as you know, maybe it's just to orient everyone. But when you have those three transition phases, as you know, today I want to talk about, so that. It's going to help you do this quickly because now you know what you're saying next. Sometimes the context is going to start with something like just to orient everyone, but it's a transition phase that helps you get from one section to the other. Here's one last example for each. For quick background as we start today. So today we're going to explore. My goal for you is you walk away with, again, lots of ways to say it, but always think about, does my audience know and understand the context, the purpose, and the win? I simply help my audience engage and come into the room. Why are we here? What are we doing? What's the win? And one really important note, this isn't a script. It's a framework, and a framework is used to help you put this in your situation, whatever presentation you have. Some presentations are going to need more context. Others may literally need none. Sometimes your opening lasts 3 sentences. Sometimes the whole opening might last a minute, but it probably shouldn't last more than 2. But to be clear, the goal isn't to memorize these words. The goal is to answer those 3 questions for your audience. And again, to create clarity. And here's what's interesting. While the framework is designed to serve your audience, it ends up helping you just as much. Because when you know exactly how you're going to begin, your brain has something to focus on doing versus worrying about, how do I sound? Is this coming across? Am I going to choke? Am I going to blank out? No. So instead of thinking, what do I say or how should I start? You just follow this process. Again, gather attention, context, purpose, win. It's your new mental checklist. And over time, that consistency is going to create confidence because you're not worrying about yourself. They also help you quiet your nerves in the moment. So here's my challenge for you. Before your next presentation, start by answering those 3 questions: the context, the purpose, and the win. I think you'll find the rest of your presentation becomes easier to prepare as well. And remember, great openings aren't about sounding impressive. They're about creating clarity. And when you're clear about the 3 things, your audience will be ready to listen and engage. And then for you, you'll be calmer. And if you're wanting to become a better communicator and presenter at work, who can organize their thoughts quickly, speak with more executive presence, handle the tough questions that come your way without freezing, and earn more credibility every time you speak, I'd encourage you to check out our Crush Your Nerves Masterclass. The link is below in the show notes. And inside, I'll show you the real root of why we get nervous speaking and the step-by-step system we use to help professionals communicate with more confidence, clarity, credibility. Because look, we all want to accelerate our careers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.